Okay. Okay.
Do you realize just how much difference there is in life insurance rates from one insurance company to the next? For instance, if you're in good health and don't smoke cigarettes, Garden State Life Insurance may be able to save you as much as 50% off the cost of your life insurance. That's right, 30, 40, 50% off what you'd have to pay for a comparable amount of coverage elsewhere. And not just this month, but year after year for the rest of your life. Savings like that are well worth looking into. So if you need $100,000 to $1 million or more of quality term life insurance, you owe it to yourself to get the facts fast by calling now, 800-257-1257, toll-free for this free information package, including a personal coverage proposal that shows you just how much your savings might be. There's no obligation, no sales pressure, and it could be a real eye-opener. For instance, as your Garden State Life representative can tell you,
if you're a healthy 40-year-old who doesn't smoke cigarettes, you may qualify for $100,000 worth of quality term life insurance at rates so low they're less than 55 cents a day.
How do we do it? First, you save because we offer this life insurance at these low rates only to people who are in good health. That cuts our risk and your premiums. Then, because this quality term life insurance is sold in amounts of at least $100,000 or more, you get the advantage of volume discounts. And it's easy to do business with Garden State Life Insurance because you deal with us directly. You're always just a phone call away. So call today, 800-257-1257, toll-free, 257-1257 for your free personal coverage proposal. No obligation, no pressure. Discover how this quality term life insurance could save you as much as 50% off your premiums every year for the rest of your life. 800-257-1257, toll-free. Call Garden State Life Insurance for your free information today, 257-1257.
This is CNN.
Good morning, I'm Dave Michaels. Just ahead, CNN Weekend continues with a big story. First, this news update. More than 10,000 delegates to an international AIDS conference in Amsterdam will hear good news and bad during their week-long session. The 8th annual meeting got underway Sunday. Monday, the World Health Organization is expected to reveal that AIDS is spreading faster than science can keep up with fighting it. And experts say the rate of infection is spiraling in third world nations. But researchers are making progress on possible AIDS vaccines. They'll update the conference on their work. Politics, too, is evident at the meeting.
Too long, George Bush and that ass-kissing Louis Sullivan had been knowingly and willingly propagating policies that contravene all accepted medical opinion.
We must make decisions not based upon political expediency, but what seems to be the most rational, best decision concerning the public health.
The conference was moved to Amsterdam from Boston to protest U.S. immigration restrictions on people with AIDS. A European community-sponsored ceasefire apparently means nothing to the warring factions in the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina. Shelling that rattled Sarajevo Sunday continued past the local 6 p.m. truce time. Clashes with heavy weapons reportedly continue several hours afterward. The ceasefire between irregular Serbian forces and Bosnia's nationalist Muslims and Croats was to have lasted 2 weeks to organize peace talks. Yugoslav Prime Minister Milan Panic flew to Sarajevo Sunday and offered to get such talks started. But Bosnia's president is skeptical of Mr. Panic's ability to rein in the Serb forces. U.S. Secretary of State James Baker will be meeting with Palestinian leaders in Jerusalem Monday. Sunday, Baker met with Israel's new Prime Minister, Yitzhak Rabin. Baker said the new government offers chances for peace and increases the likelihood the U.S. will offer billions of dollars in loan guarantees to Israel. Mr. Rabin said he was discouraged by some Arab nations' refusal to exchange visits to talk about peace. Democrats Bill Clinton and Al Gore have drawn enthusiastic crowds in their campaign through the heartland. On Sunday, they stopped at a farm in Utica, Ohio, after visiting a West Virginia steel mill. Earlier, Clinton took questions by satellite about his religious beliefs. He said he would take no marching orders based on his Southern Baptist religion, but said his faith would make him more humble in office. Clinton acknowledged a Republican attacks on his ticket and told supporters what to expect.
In the weeks and months ahead, America will be put to the test. Al Gore and I will ask you to vote for the future and vote for change. Our opponents will tell you everything's going to be all right and to keep it the way it is. They'll try to frighten you about us. They'll bring back every old buzzword they ever thought of to say about anybody running against them. They'll tell you we're too liberal and we're too young and we're too this and we're too that and we're too the other thing. I'll tell you what, we're too much for the American people for their taste, and we will give you your government back if you'll give us a chance to do it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Republicans have focused on the Democratic ticket since Ross Perot's exit from the presidential race. On Sunday, the Texas billionaire left a Dallas hotel after meeting for a second day with supporters from around the country. While they agreed to keep alive a grassroots reform movement, they could not come up with a name, a leader, or a strategy. Perot left without speaking to reporters. I'm Dave Michaels of the CNN Center in Atlanta. Just ahead on the big story, the glare of the spotlight.
Volunteers, I always look back on this with the fondest of memories, and my memories will be focused on you and your greatness because you are America.
We want Ross! Ross Perot's supporters simply wouldn't accept the fact that he's quit. Thursday night outside Perot's Dallas headquarters, they chanted, they cheered, they sang in hopes of getting Perot back in the ring.
We won't go, Ross Perot! We won't go, Ross Perot!
The phone bank was flooded with calls from supporters unbelieving and unwilling to accept the campaign's end.
If we get enough people writing letters and protesting, we might can get him back on.
Perot said his decision to drop out was the result of three things. The two major political parties, he said, were now discussing the issues he had raised. The Democratic Party appeared to be revitalized, and it appeared to Perot that if he stayed in the race, Congress, rather than the voters, would pick the president.
People can say anything they want to say. I am trying to do what's right for my country. Now, that probably makes me odd in your eyes, but that's what I'm trying to do.
Perot's decision came as a surprise to the workers. Campaign manager Tom Luce learned of Perot's decision in a late Wednesday night meeting at Perot's home with a half dozen of the campaign's top officials. The hour-long meeting was businesslike. But Thursday morning, the emotions poured out.
But let me say, really hang in there. Okay.
It was a sad end to a campaign that seemed to soar so high and hit such a responsive chord across the country.
If we don't do it, we're not going to leave our children the kind of country our parents left us. It's that simple.
But the protests, criticism, internal strife, and campaign missteps created too much of an obstacle to go on. Former campaign co-chair Ed Rollins, who quit just a day earlier, said the campaign wasn't fun anymore for Perot.
He didn't like the scrutiny. He felt there was a great unfairness to it all, that he had a different story. He really wanted to talk about where the country should be going, and everything seemed to be a distraction, including what was going on within his own campaign.
This is not an athletic contest. This is a program to say what is really good for the country. I am absolutely convinced, or I wouldn't be standing here today, that putting this thing in the House of Representatives is negative and disruptive, and we shouldn't do it.
The hardest part of quitting for Perot, according to close friend and senior aide Mort Meyerson, was the effect it would have on the volunteers.
He had two bad choices. One was, would he hurt the volunteers who have put so much effort in this? He would hate to do that. Would he do something that in his judgment's not good for the country? That's a larger question. He came to the decision that the country came first.
We believe he was going to be a presidential candidate. Do you think that we would have taken our money out and tried to help him?
Anger reflecting at least part of the mood among Perot's supporters.
Now what are we supposed to do?
It was the question of the hour at campaign headquarters all over the country. Within half an hour of Ross Perot's announcement, his petition committee in Atlanta had thrown a press conference together.
Are you disappointed?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. This is an opportunity lost.
In New York, campaign workers watched the press conference that seemed to have taken volunteers all over the country by surprise.
There are volunteers over here who put every cent, every ounce of their energy into this man. And this man turns out to be a fraud.
We let down the people that were really involved in the grassroots campaign, who had no other agenda, no political aspirations. First-time political people like myself who had never, ever been involved in any kind of political process.
At Perot headquarters in Dallas, more disappointment shading into anger.
I'm just shocked and disappointed. I'm sad.
Why am I disappointed in Ross Perot? I thought he had more guts than to drop out this early.
What do we do? I'm still for Ross Perot.
Now, his supporters will soon get a chance to see a side-by-side comparison in a two-way campaign of the president's approach, his proposals for change, versus Mr. Clinton's liberal tax and spend approach.
The Northeast and the West, particularly the Pacific Coast, those were the areas hardest hit by the recession. Those are the areas where George Bush was least popular. We were seeing very large movements over the last week, largely almost entirely from Perot voters to Clinton.
I was very moved by his statement, very impressed by his campaign, and now I want to reach out to his supporters. I think they want the same kind of change I do in this country.
I am convinced that the conservatives who are supporting Ross Perot, the legions of conservative people, will end up being with me, because I think they share the same values that I speak about, the same principles that we put forward, and the same desire to change this economy and get things moving again.
I would like to thank the volunteers. There is no question that you have changed politics in this country, and it is a change for the better. And all you have to do is listen to what both of the party candidates are saying now. They are basically focused totally on the things that so concerned you.
Here's an opportunity to receive a free copy of William F. Buckley's controversial essay, In Search of Anti-Semitism.
Hi, I'm Charlton Heston. I want to share something with you that's very important and enjoyable to me. You see, every other week I get a magazine I look forward to as much as anything I read. It gives me insights into current events and important issues I never get from any other magazine, certainly not from TV or radio. It's Bill Buckley's National Review.
My purpose in founding National Review was to provide an alternative to the single viewpoint commentary and news reporting that still afflict the media.
It's always been pretty hard to find. It's not read by millions, but for those of us who do read it, it's a hands-down favorite.
I like it because it cuts through the nonsense that normally surrounds most political issues with simple, common sense. And of course, I love the humor. It's a very funny magazine.
But don't let this commercial fool you. Actors aren't the only ones who love National Review. Ex-actors love it, too.
But I think you know that National Review is my favorite magazine. It's my favorite because it's splendidly written, brilliantly edited, and a pleasure to read.
When you get National Review, you'll have news and opinion you can't find anywhere else. It's informative, probing, persuasive, challenging, serious. It's entertaining. I think it's terrific. Unfortunately, it's not on many newsstands, so this could be your only chance to get a trial subscription and see for yourself why I like it so much. Call this toll-free number. We'll start your introductory subscription right now. Run through a few issues. If you don't like it, don't renew.
Call this toll-free number now and we'll send you absolutely free William F. Buckley's controversial essay, In Search of Anti-Semitism. For a 16-issue trial subscription to National Review for only $24.95, call 1-800-643-7979. That's 1-800-643-7979. Call now.
Where can you use the Players Club card? Las Vegas, Atlantic City, the Caribbean, on cruise ships. Sometimes you just need to get away from it, all right? But these days, you got to be smart about it. With a Players Club card, you save 50% off your room, 25% off food and drinks, up to 50% off shows. The Players Club card. Have some fun the smart way.
New members get 2 free nights in Las Vegas or Atlantic City when the club books their flights. Call toll-free right now. There's no obligation.
Reagan era, it's over. And as far as this White House is concerned, honey, you can turn out the lights. The party's over.
4 years ago, Mr. Bush told us he was a quiet man who hears the voices of quiet people. Today, we know the truth. George Bush is a timid man who hears only the voices of caution and the status quo. Let's face facts. George Bush just doesn't get it. He doesn't see it. He doesn't feel it. And he's done nothing about it. That's why we cannot afford 4 more years.
The American dream is not dead. It is not dead. It is gasping for breath, but it is not dead.
How beautiful for Spain.
I don't want to die. I don't want to die. But I don't want to live in America where the president sees me as the enemy. I can face dying because of a disease, but not because of politics. So I stand here tonight in support of Bill Clinton, a man who sees the value in each and every member of the American family. And although I am a person with AIDS, I am a person with hope, because I know how different my life and all our lives could be if I could call my boss Mr. President.
Do you know how much my AIDS care costs? Over $40,000 a year. Someone without insurance can't afford this. Even the drugs that I hope will keep me alive are out of reach for others. Is their life any less valuable? Of course not.
From sea to shining sea.
It is possible for the White House and the Congress to work as a team. Sound budgets can be produced. Our leaders can be truthful. Our nation can exalt peace as more noble than war. America can be, once again, the champion of human rights, of global environment, and nuclear non-proliferation. We can, once again, be the nation of freedom, progress, and hope if we have a change in Washington.
But somebody has to measure their giantness, not by leaping up, but by reaching back and reaching out and loving and caring and sharing. Democrats, if we pursue that ethic, that love ethic, that care ethic, we will win and deserve to win. Stand tall, never surrender. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep
Connecticut's apparently present.
The future will be determined not in the White House or in Capitol Hill alone, but it has to be won in every living room, in every company office, in every classroom, and in every neighborhood of America. What we need is not a campaign as usual, but a common cause to recast the nation's politics, revive our democracy, and reclaim our economic future.
Come on, everybody, lift up your voice. All over America. Hallelujah. Ooh, glory. Glory, glory. Hallelujah.
I'd like to march with you behind President Bill Clinton through cities and rural villages where all the people have safe streets and affordable housing and health care when they need it. I want to clap my hands and throw my fist in the air, cheering neighborhoods where children can be children, where they can grow up and get the chance to go to college and one day own their own home. I want to sing proud songs, happy songs, arm in arm with workers who have a real stake in their company's success, who once again have the assurance that a lifetime of hard work will make life better for their children than it had been for them. I want to march behind President Bill Clinton in a victory parade that sends up fireworks celebrating the triumph of our technology centers and factories outproducing and outselling our overseas competitors. I want to march with you. I want to march with you knowing that we are selecting justices to the Supreme Court who are really qualified to be there. Justices who understand the basic American right of each individual to make his or her own private moral and religious judgment. I want to look around and feel the warmth, the pride, the profound gratitude of knowing that we are making America surer, stronger, and sweeter. I want to shout out our thanks because President Bill Clinton has helped us to make the greatest nation in the world better than it's ever been. So step aside, Mr. Bush. You've had your parade.
Madam Secretary, Arkansas proudly casts our 48 votes for our favorite son and my son, Bill Clinton.
Thank you, Michele.
Ohio wants change. America wants change. And Ohio cast 144 votes for the next president of the United States, Bill Clinton.
I want to thank you all for being here and loving your country, and to tell you that tomorrow night I will be the comeback kid. Good night. And God bless you all. Thank you.
When the network Olympics coverage shows rhythmic gymnastics.
I want to watch boxing.
When the network's showing synchronized swimming.
I want to watch the Dream Team.
When the network's showing equestrian jumping.
I want to watch track and field.
Then you want the Olympics Triplecast, where you're in control, where you can see what you want when you want, because now you've got 3 exclusive cable channels, each televising different live events simultaneously with no interruptions, 24 hours a day. You'll see every minute of every game of America's Dream Team. You'll watch every punch thrown by an American in this year's Olympics. You'll see track and field like never before. To get the Triplecast, you've got to order the Triplecast. Call 1-800-OLYMPIC now. You'll save money, too, because a full day of Olympic programming is regularly $29.95. But if you order now, you'll get 15 days for less than $9 a day, a savings of 70%.
With Triplecast, I finally get to see the Olympics the way I want to see them.
Call 1-800-OLYMPIC now for the Olympics Triplecast. You won't be sorry.
FBI statistics report that 1 in 40 cars will be stolen this year. Will your car be next? I'm not an actor. I'm Captain Jack Cleric. This space used to have a car parked in it. The owner will be back shortly to find that his car was stolen. He could have prevented this theft had he installed the club on the steering wheel of his car. The club is a bright red, tough tempered steel bar that cannot be cut and attaches to any car's steering wheel. Once attached, it makes steering impossible. Plus, because of its high visibility, an auto thief will walk away from your car and look for an easier, unprotected target. After testing, we recommend the club for Operation Lockup. So why not do what millions of other Americans and police officers are doing? Protect your car with the club. But please beware of cheap imitations. Make sure that the anti-theft device you buy says the club on the handle.
The Club, now available at most stores where auto supplies are sold. I'm Bella Shaw. Next week we'll talk with director Brian De Palma about his latest cinematic thriller, Raising Cain. Also, Damon Wayans, the star of TV's In Living Color, jumps to the big screen in Mo Money. That's Showbiz today, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on CNN.
I thank you for your confidence expressed in the vote this evening. I pledge to pour my heart and soul into this crusade on behalf of the American people. And I accept your nomination for the Vice Presidency of the United States of America. In 1992, our challenge is not to elect the last president of the 20th century, but to elect the first president of the 21st century, President Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton has a plan that offers real answers for the real problems of real people. A bold new economic strategy to rebuild this country and put our people back to work. In the name of the hard-working Americans who make up our forgotten middle class, I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States. And I want to say something to every child in America tonight who's out there trying to grow up without a father or a mother. I know how you feel. You're special too. You matter to America. And don't you ever let anybody tell you you can't become whatever you want to be. And if other politicians make you feel like you're not a part of their family, come on and be part of ours. Our people are pleading for change, but government is in the way. It's been hijacked by privileged private interests. It's forgotten who really pays the bills around here. It's taken more of your money and giving you less in return. We have got to go beyond the brain-dead politics in Washington and give our people the kind of government they deserve, a government that works for them. I am well aware that all those millions of people who rallied to Ross Perot's cause wanted to be in an army of patriots for change. Tonight I say to them, join us and together we will revitalize America.
For more news from around the world, stay with CNN.
Now you needn't go to the symphony to hear the classics when you can own the collector's library of best-loved classics. This stupendous collection features every important category of classical music ever written. Best-loved overtures. Best-loved symphonies. Best-loved concertos. And best-loved dances. Plus, you'll get best-loved ballets and best-loved piano music.
The Collector's Library of Best-Loved Classics is just $19.95. To order, call this toll-free number now.
This is CNN.
Good morning, I'm Dave Michaels. Reliable Sources is just ahead, but first we have this news update for you. Bill Clinton and Al Gore go back on the road again Monday morning. On day 3 of their bus tour, the Democratic duo rolled through steel towns and farm towns. In Utica, Ohio, Clinton took questions from local farmers while sitting on bales of hay. Earlier, Clinton said Republican attacks on him show President Bush has nothing positive to offer America. Ross Perot may have decided to get out of presidential politics, but some of his supporters are staying in it. Perot loyalists from across the U.S. met with him in Dallas Sunday for the second day in a row to discuss ways to have an impact as some sort of grassroots organization. They failed to hammer out a name or an agenda, but they did agree to stick together. Gunfire and explosions could be heard in Sarajevo Sunday, both before and after a ceasefire was supposed to go into effect. One report says the city suffered the heaviest night of fighting in a week. This on the day Yugoslavia's new prime minister came to Sarajevo and offered to start peace talks immediately. It's unclear if he has received a reply. California officials say they have contained 90% of the blaze in the Cleveland National Forest near San Diego. The fire started early Saturday with an illegal campfire. Another wildfire in Idaho's Payette River Canyon, which swept through more than 6,000 acres, was contained late Sunday. Environmental officials in Kentucky say 19 boxcars of garbage were discovered in Muhlenberg County on the property of an abandoned mine. There's some speculation the smelly load is related to the train of New York trash that traveled throughout the Midwest before being accepted by a New Jersey landfill last week. Up next on CNN, Reliable Sources.
Welcome to Reliable Sources, where we turn a critical lens on the media. I'm Bernard Kalb in New York. Suddenly, more than a 20-point lead for the Democrats after a week-long celebration in New York. Did the media saturation catapult Bill Clinton and Al Gore higher and higher, or did they earn it? And later in the program, Ross Perot. Was the media coverage on target? We'll have a report card. With me, Michele Greppi, TV columnist for the New York Post, Edwin Diamond, media critic for New York Magazine, and syndicated columnist Marty Schram. Ed, did the media give that 20 points to the Democrats as a gift, or did they really work for it?
Oh, I think they worked very hard for it. I mean, that was one of the best lit, well-lit, orderly, almost Republican conventions the Democrats ever did. They made the trains run on time for television.
Michele, you watched the television sets very carefully. Was there sufficient television scrutiny of what was taking place, or was it simply a kind of a television mimeograph machine to the nation?
Well, not even a mimeograph machine. I get bothered by the fact that we try to explain things before they actually take place, or we explain things instead of letting people see them take place. And I think that there's an awful lot of that, and I hope someday somebody will say, look, let's put PBS out there, do a C-SPAN sort of thing, and then let the biggies come in and do their analysis afterwards.
Marty, does Michele's complaint grow out of the fact that the highlight technique was introduced this time, that the television stations abbreviating the coverage sought to give you quick cameos, sort of Mac News?
Exactly. I mean, Michele is dead right. Fact of the matter is, this was Honey, I Shrunk the News, and it was the television networks who did it. And Ed, I mean, I'd even say, and you'll probably agree, that it was the television networks that helped the manipulators, because by cutting their coverage way back, they lost all the flexibility to do it right or do it in depth, and their choices were either let the manipulators totally dictate coverage from the podium or ignore the podium, as they did sometimes with their boring analysis of what they'd already missed when the other networks were covering it.
Well, you called it fast food, Mick. I thought it was like a VCR where the fast forward button was pressed, the rewind button was pressed, and the play button was pressed. Yeah. We were going back and forth from real time to surreal time to what happened before to what's going on. It was a mess. It was the worst of all.
The worst of all, you think?
The worst of all worlds. Television's coverage was the worst of all worlds.
Broadcast networks?
I guess we're talking about the old line, big three, dinosaurs.
I think it was all the way around because I really do think you get frustrated. Do you want the convention or do you want somebody...
Well, you got it on C-SPAN. You said that you got it on C-SPAN, though.
Well, that's right, but the real fact is that a lot of people have been used over the years to watching NBC or ABC or CBS. Now they're becoming used to watching CNN, but on all 4 networks, when the roll call was on, and a lot of people are home wanting to see their state answer and cast their votes, and the kids are up watching. Instead, what did they see? They saw this anchor talking to that pundit and telling them the analysis that was really rather obvious anyway. They missed a very good civics moment.
That's what I was trying to say. Irony. The Democrats finally had their act together, thanks to Harry and Linda Thomas, and they put on a good convention, and this was the year that the 3 networks opted out of a very good-looking show.
You took that package. The Democrats offered the package, The Life of Bill Clinton.
Oh, yeah.
Now, ABC and CBS substituted their own biographical sketches. CNN ran with a handout in this particular case. Who was it? The other one, NBC, picked up a bit of the handout. Is that responsible? Do you carry some of the offering? Do you set up your alternative of your own based on your own investigation?
What a loaded question, calling it a handout, huh?
I mean, this is their convention.
What are the other synonyms?
Well, every 4 years, aren't the parties entitled to have their little presentation?
But this is their convention. This is the Democratic convention. This is not the media's convention. It's not the journalist convention. It's not the network's convention. It's the Democrats' convention. This is Clinton's night. It's his biographical introduction.
15 minutes for 4 years. Every 4 years, 15 minutes.
Let me try this out on you. I'm sure CNN's going to do, of course, the same thing when the Republicans are on. They'll get their 15-minute commercial as well. But try this. I think that when someone's speaking from the podium, you cover it.
Right.
When someone puts together a commercial, 5, 10, 15-minute commercial, whatever it is, I don't think you have to watch a video commercial that purports to be a biography, but is only half a biography, just the good stuff. I would urge, if the Democrats or Republicans want their commercial on TV, buy the time.
There's something else. When we took a look, for example, at the broadcast networks coming in with their abbreviated programs, pardon the phrase, but they sought to inflict the anchormen on the landscape of America. Rather than let you see, whether you were speaking from the podium or you, there was either Peter Jennings, or Tom Brokaw, or Dan Rather talking and interviewing and so forth. They seemed to get in the way of the momentum of what was happening, and I say that without in any way deriding the necessity for there to be interpretation. It's a question of balance in a thing like that.
You're paying these guys a couple million a year. I guess they're trying to prorate the investment.
Well, are you suggesting that the networks see this as some sort of showcasing opportunity?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my heaven forfend.
I'm shocked. There's gambling going on in this casino.
What's again, there are girls upstairs?
And it's not only the networks. I mean, everybody who was there saw it as a showcasing opportunity. I mean, this is a convention in which it hasn't happened unless I've commented on it.
I couldn't agree more. But try this. Let's not leave print out because
that's what I'm saying.
Because let's face it, I thought that was where you were going with this. The Jesse Jackson night to me was a classic of print versus print, and you had to read all the papers to get a sense of it. USA Today, Jesse electrifies the hall. The Daily News, Jesse roars. The New York Times, front page. I guess they didn't have room on the editorial page, so they put it on the front page. It said, oh, Jesse, he doesn't have it anymore. Well,
that story was written before he spoke, before he delivered
it. A pretty big charge.
It was.
You know that?
It was updated in the, if you look at the late edition, there's a late
but
city.
that first edition was written before, they had seen the speech, they had not heard the speech, and it makes a difference.
Well, that was the story, wasn't it, about Jesse Jackson's future, as it were?
Well, it was about his present, too, though, and they tried to do two things.
The absence of a future.
And they mixed apples and oranges in there. The one was, Jesse, did he capitulate to the Clinton people in order to get a good spot of time on the podium? Well, yes, no, however you want to slice it. But don't confuse it with the kind of speech he gave and the audience reaction. Very different.
And you take a look at the media all the time, both print and television and so forth. And you've covered many of these conventions in the past. Run your mind quickly, like some sort of Nickelodeon, through the headlines and the front pages you've seen over the past 4 days. What sort of grading are you doing for print?
Well, you know, first, I think print is, the conventions aren't designed for print. They're designed for television. I think that's the first
But we're
thing.
talking about
All right,
reporting.
okay, but in terms of reporting, what print is reduced to, in my opinion, is telling people the next morning what they should think about, what they said, what they saw the night before. That's why I think that print, and I'm in a spot, I write for a weekly magazine, and it's very tough. I think these are television shows, and print is reduced. I wound up writing about the media. You know, I'm looking at the media as the media looked at the convention, and now we're talking about...
All right, now we are the Democratic plotters of this convention, and the conference is over, and we're together Friday morning saying, how did we do? What will the Democratic... how will they analyze the results?
I think this Linda and Harry Thomason who the producers of Designing Women put on a Designing Democrats. Designing Democrats. The confessional mode. I mean, a man talking about his child. And
Michele, did the media throw up enough of a kind of scrutiny of what was happening?
Yes and no, because I was going to say, Linda and Harry did a terrific job of putting that convention together, but they didn't convince the networks to break that much from their game plan. And so there was a lot that was there that didn't get through unless you watch C-SPAN or CNN in and around the analysis. So it was great inside the hall. It was not necessarily translating. And the video wall, the vaunted video wall was an example. You know, if you saw it on television, you either saw it way back, and it was a lovely little blur in the middle of the picture, or you saw it as colored background on a tight shot of somebody speaking. So I think it worked well for the Democrats. I'm not sure that it did anything for the audience that it came through the camera.
Good point, Michele, because I think basically you've got to admit, in these days of economic tough times, all the good producing in the world isn't going to convince networks to avoid the bottom line, and they went for the commercial money, the sitcoms, the dramas.
So you're saying those of us who were in the hall saw the good show, but those out there in television land watching...
I don't think they necessarily saw all of the producing that went into it,
They saw
other than things running on time and being relatively unified.
Coming next, the press and Perot. Stay with us.
The legendary Ginsu knife. It was the sharpest offer on television. But now, there's the next generation. Ginsu World Class. It's quite simply the finest knife in the world.
You mean finer than our famous English knives? Finer than our German knives?
Yes, even finer than our own classic Ginsu. The high-carbon stainless steel blade has incredible strength. Even with abuse like this, it still never needs sharpening. Nothing cuts it like the Ginsu World Class. It's as simple as that. With its unique triple ground curved blade, you could easily pay $100. But not here. Ginsu World Class is yours for only $29.95, complete with this money-back guarantee and this lifetime replacement guarantee. Sharp offer, sharp value. Order now and get these famous Ginsu steak knives plus these accessory knives free. Ginsu World Class, a legendary cut above the rest. Order yours now.
For rush delivery, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-538-7272. Call from the U.S. or Canada. Or send $29.95 plus $4.95 shipping to Ginsu World Class, P.O. Box 8989-N, Buffalo Grove, Illinois, 60089. Order now. Call 1-800-538-7272.
On CNN today, when does music become too violent? The cop killer controversy on Cryer and Company. Then on NewsHour, it happens every day, every hour, everywhere. How safe is your home? All today on CNN.
Welcome back. As a presidential candidate, Ross Perot came out of nowhere and instantly generated media excitement from coast to coast. He launched the campaign on a talk show and preferred talk show question and viewer call-ins to the more challenging scrutiny of the press corps regulars. He soared in the polls and the media turned up the investigative heat. Finally, at only his second formal news conference, Ross Perot called it quits. Was the media the culprit Or was Ross Perot not yet ready for the big leagues?
Probably A plus B. You know, yes, the fact of the matter is, culprit, yes. The other way to say it is that they were the instrument by investigating, looking at the guy's background. What did he do in the past? Clinton had the same thing in the winter and the spring. Ross had it in the summer. Clinton persevered. Ross punted. But Ross got back at the media. You know why he did? We were waiting for our excellent adventure, something new and different and wonderful. Now we don't have it.
I used the word culprit as a semantic ambush, and you fell for it.
Right. Boy, you got me there.
Why culprit? Why not simply the press doing its job, filling in the blank spots? Yeah. Ross Perot could not take
That's
it.
why I changed culprit to instrument. We were the instrument, Bernie. That's what we were.
I think it's not even that.
That's what we are. That's our job.
It's like a date. You get to know somebody in
a blind date in this case.
It was. I mean, you saw somebody at the supermarket and said, "Oh, he's cute," you know. But you get to know them slowly, and I think there was that natural build, and it's not victim. He's not a victim. We're not the culprit. We're not the instrument.
Precisely.
It's just it takes a while for the fun stuff to wear off, and for the little ticks that drive you crazy to really.
2 points. Ross Perot lived by television, and he died by television. His candidacy appeared out of nowhere on Larry King, and I gather his swan song, I know his swan song will also appear on television or be on television. The second point is that what the public sees is the press as it really is in this case. We are, men and women, are really out there in the press box or sideline yelling, "Go get them." We have a vested interest in action, keeping the game on the road.
Which prompts Susie Zirinsky of CBS saying, when she heard about Ross Perot stepping back, "This is the saddest day of my life," because journalism
she lived very happy
until the next one. You know, it's back to business as usual, humdrum old campaigns as usual. But look, not too much patting ourselves on the back for being the crusaders of truth and liberty and the American way. Let's face it. We are the instrument. When a candidate comes out, new or old, governor of Arkansas, businessman from Texas, we are the ones who have to look into his past and say, what's really going on here? What did he do? What did he stand for? And all of that. That's what the business is about.
In this case, though, I think that it was even more than what was written about him as the investigations really got rolling and produced results, was that you saw him for an hour and a half answering questions in a town forum meeting format on ABC. You saw him live. You saw him answering questions live on the Today Show or something. And you saw that there was a lot of qualities that you really couldn't appreciate, and a lot of information that was coming through. And every time he made one of those appearances, the ratings shot up. So people wanted to know something, and I think as they saw it, they saw a lot of the things that showed up, for example, in the NAACP.
Politics, as someone said, ain't beanbag. I mean, it's not, he's not the chairman of the board of directors and says, I decide, I want this, we'll do that. You get out into the political world, you're open to blindside attacks.
But even though he has stepped off the political stage, he's left a legacy. He's introduced an innovation in how campaigns will be projected toward an audience by the presence on the talk shows and by taking call-in questions. Even the president was reduced to appearing on what he himself was calling the weird talk shows and so forth.
Till his own ratings slipped in the polls, and
he also handpicked his audience from the line of tourists waiting to go into the White House.
In the remaining few seconds on this particular segment, quick question around here. Do you think it was the press that beheaded Ross Perot?
No.
Or was it his own thin skin, if that's the right phrase?
I think it was his own personality.
It was his own record that was there to pick over. I mean, he put his head on the train.
I think it was the small things more than anything else, too. You know, in the boardroom, nobody ever said, "Boss, you're a liar." They never said that.
Coming next, how will the Republicans try to capture the media megaphone in Houston? And will they make it?
Hey, watch out. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Are nicks and scratches making your car ugly and old? Introducing Color Smart, the color-coordinated car polish that makes those scratches disappear like magic. So effective, it's like having a paint job in a bottle. The secret is coordinated colors. Look, to shine your shoes, you match the color polish. Color Smart works the same way. Simply choose the color that matches your car. Works on any shade in one easy application. Covers nicks, scratches, even swirl marks in seconds. That car key is ruining the finish. Just use Color Smart White and those scratches are gone.
When I first saw this car, I estimated the value at $2,000. But after using Color Smart just once, I figured I could sell it for $3,000.
That power sander is ruining the paint. Look at that damage. But wait, Color Smart works quickly and easily to restore the shine. So smooth the polish bottle slides right off. To order your color, it's this easy.
The color and make of your car?
Yes, a blue 1989 Buick.
Don't spend hundreds on a new paint job. Now you can order Color Smart, the paint job in a bottle for only $19.95. Order now, and we'll double the size of your bottle. An incredible 16 ounces for the low price of $19.95. Order within the next 10 minutes and we'll include this incredible triple bonus. Restore it. Makes your vinyl, leather, and rubber look like new. Clear glass for crystal clear fog-free windshields and new car scent. All free, a $20 value free when you order Color Smart. So get smart. Use your credit card and Color Smart today.
For faster service, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-767-1300. Or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $4.50 shipping and handling to Color Smart, 2600 American Way, Roanoke, Virginia 24016. Or call 1-800-767-1300.
Welcome back. The week that was Democratic. The Republicans do their number mid-August in Houston. Can we look for a media replay of the coverage that took place in New York? Michele.
I think it'll be a slightly more somber, darker replay of New York, because in New York, you're still at the stage of what's your favorite color, what are your dreams, when you're talking about Clinton and Gore. And in Houston, you're going to be looking back at 4 years plus of policy and so forth, that some tough questions have to be asked about.
Can the media introduce some innovations in reporting the convention from Houston, having profited in some way from what took place?
Yes, they could stand back and let it play and let us watch it.
They can't rely on rubes in Wicked Gotham stories or Iowa delegation lost in the subway. Yeah, they can't do those stories.
Well, try this out. I think they don't dare try any innovations now. Having done one kind of coverage for the Democratic convention, if they try to do another coverage and it turns out a little tougher, there it goes. The media did it again. The liberal media. The liberal pinko commie media did it again.
We know that the president doesn't seem to be able to buy a good story. And the expectation is that the GOP will be splashing dollars at the networks, selling good stories. Commercial advertising for the president. Will those ads in any way influence the media, or is the media simply turn a thick skin and just keep going on its way?
Every newspaper has a reporter who's assigned to the ad beat or the ad, what do they call it, Air Wars or whatever.
Air Wars, Ad Watch.
Ad Watch. Every newspaper now will go, so you'll get a double bounce. You buy time on television, and then you'll get a story about it in the paper.
Well,
it may not be too favorable.
And what that story says is their ad said this, but the truth is that. So in other words, if they try to say the economy is great, the Ad Watch story will say something else. But on television, they get what they pay for. They'll get the good bounce if they do the good ad.
Michele, you're doing media scrutiny constantly. How will you bring your own particular lens to this? To Houston. To the ads, to Houston, to the Republican convention.
Well, I think that it'll just be a matter of, again, trying to figure out what it is they're saying and how much of it's getting through. And I think that all too often there's too little of it getting through.
You know, Ronald Reagan is going to be the centerpiece, I think, of the... And they can't run on Bush and Quayle, so I think they're going to try to run with Ronald Reagan. And I think that's a high stake gamble. I think that's a big risk because, you know, he's not the Ronald Reagan of Warner Brothers lot in the 1950s.
He may be great, but it's not a vision of the future.
Yeah, it makes him look like the party of the past.
You've got the last word. My thanks to you, to Marty, Michele. We'll be back next week to take a look at the media scrutiny of the new Clinton-Gore campaign and much more. I'm Bernard Kalb in New York. The news continues here on CNN.
5-year-old Melanie lives in a wooden shack in a disease-infested slum in the Philippines. At night, she eats only a bowl of rice and goes to sleep on a floor mat. Melanie desperately needs nutritious food, medicine when she is sick, and a chance to go to school. Now, for only $12 a month through Children International, you can sponsor a child like Melanie who needs your love. Call the number on your screen and tell the operator you want to sponsor a child for only $12 a month. Choose a boy or a girl. Then, in just a few days, you'll receive an envelope to mail us your first month's payment. Your child will learn that her waiting is over, that you are her sponsor, and you'll have your complete sponsorship kit with your child's photo and her personal history, telling you all about her health, and her family situation. You'll begin to know your child. You will also receive a special report about your child's country, answers to your questions, and more. During the year, you'll receive 2 personal letters from your child filled with love and gratitude. You are not obligated to write, but you may write as often as you wish and send birthday and Christmas cards too. Through updated photos, reports, and letters, you and your child will grow closer to each other. You will watch her blossom and grow strong because of your love and all that your $12 a month is providing for her. Food and clothing, medical care, a chance to go to school, help for the family. You will see the difference you have made in her life. Decide now to take one special child into your heart and change her world with your love. Call now and become a sponsor. To become a sponsor for only $12 a month, call 1-800-533-4400 now. That's 1-800-533-4400.
Through the southern tier of the nation, hot and muggy conditions start off our week. Further northward, too, you'll see the advance of a front, and that means some stormy weather through this nighttime. Tomorrow, most likely, once again. Tonight, it's through parts of Nebraska, northern sections of Kansas, on further north and eastward into the Great Lakes region. You can see the storms already firing up. Through most of the southern tier of the nation, in spotty fashion, we'll see more thunderstorms throughout the evening into the nighttime tomorrow as well. It looks like we're going to see the advance of that front just a little further southward through the afternoon tomorrow. Just back behind, front range of the Rockies, more rain down through Texas, lots of moisture in the air there, so more showers. Up into the Great Lakes, the north and eastern United States, clouds and a little rain. These forecasts now for cities around the nation.
It's Ray Stevens' Comedy Video Classic.
Here comes Boogie-Dad, Boogie-Dad. There goes Boogie-Dad, Boogie-Dad. And he ain't wearing no clothes. Hold it!
Ray Stevens has sold millions of comedy records.
Yeah, I did.
You've listened and laughed at him for over 2 decades.
Come and lay here by my side. Till the early morning light.
Now, for the first time, you can see him on home video in 8 of his greatest, funniest hits.
Are you naked?
And you get it all on one hilarious VHS videotape.
You should have seen the look in her eyes when that squirrel jumped her garters and crossed her thighs, and she jumped to her feet and said, "Lord, have mercy on me."
You'll get the Mississippi Squirrel, the Streak,
Oh, yes, they call him the street.
Sitting Up with the Dead,
But Uncle Fred just sat right up.
Surfing USSR. Santa Claus is watching you.
He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Help me make it through the night.
It's easy for you to take.
And
It's me again, Margaret. They got me, Margaret.
this collection also includes one of Ray Stevens' most loved songs.
Everything is beautiful. It's all great. We'll have a big old time, Margaret.
So pick up that telephone and start dialing now. Here's how to order.
For rush delivery of your Ray Stevens classic comedy video, use your credit card and call 1-800-257-1257. That's 1-800-257-1257. or send $19.95 plus $4.50 shipping to Ray Stevens, P.O. Box 8250, Atlanta, Georgia 30306.